I mean, it could be divorce papers. If I'm thrown out in the cold, you would be too, Tony. We'd be penniless.
Divorce. Are things really that bad between you?
Edward's grown tired of me, and I suspect he's already picked my replacement. At first, I thought it was just a mild flirtation between him and that Dixie cream donut, Peggy Sue, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, Peggy Sue, well, she's a knockout, but you're more glamorous than she is, more sophisticated.
But I'm 20 years older than she is, Tony. That hominy-fed hussy has one thing I don't. Youth. It's the one thing Edward's money can't buy me.
Edward's money. Should be your money, too. He hadn't made you sign that agreement.
But he did. Unfortunately, the only way for his fortune to become mine is if you're to drop dead before he divorced me.
Okay, hold it. Clear some more lights, please. Oh, and kill the storm. I think I'll save the rain until closer to the end of the scene, anyway. You two can go take a break, and I'll call you back in a few minutes and introduce you properly. That looks better. Oh, hi. You caught us at an intense moment. I was working on a little scene here, and, well, you'll see it later. I'm a writer, a playwright, to be more exact, though that's not entirely accurate. I represent a playwright. I'm his, alter ego, so to speak. It'd probably help if I had a name. Let's see. Writers, alter ego, Walter. We'll go with Walter. Now, let's see here. Here's the deal. I thought you might find it interesting to see how I commit a murder. That's not an offer you get every day, is it? The easiest way to show you is to deconstruct the crime, so that's what we're going to do. Now, pay attention, because once you see how simple it is to knock somebody off, you might be tempted to try it yourself. In your imagination, of course. Now, when I start a new play, the first thing I try to picture is the setting. I'm partial to old mansions like this one that are dark and gloomy. You know, a room such as this provides the perfect ambiance for a murder to occur. Don't you think? I like French doors and fireplaces, and I use them often. See, when the room lights go out, pale moonlight and glowing embers provide the perfect amount of low lighting to evoke a sinister atmosphere. For example, see what I mean? It sort of makes you want to pull out a knife or a gun or a rope or something, doesn't it? And as you saw earlier, French doors also work great if you want to throw in a thunderstorm. Pretty chilling, huh? I've learned to keep the storm effects to a minimum, though. See, if you let them go on for too long, people start popping up in the audience and rushing to the restrooms, and that can be terribly distracting. 86 the storm, thank you. See, I got the feeling that you were just about to take off up the aisle, yet you specifically. If you could save it until intermission, I would be extremely grateful. Thank you. Now, back to the subject. Sliding doors, are good, especially when used for sudden entrances. And I usually like to show the base of a staircase beyond, so you get a sense that the house is at least 2 stories high. Well, I usually like to show the base of a staircase. Let's just say the budget doesn't like it as much as I do. So for tonight's performance, the staircase will be located off stage in this passageway, which also has entrances and exits to the kitchen and other rooms downstairs. Please silence your phone. Thank you. Off upright, there is a door. Its purpose is to create sound effects for people coming in and going out of the house. See? And another door above the fireplace leading to a parlor provides yet another access for the murderer to do his thing or hers, should I choose to use it for that purpose. When it comes to killers, I'm an equal opportunity playwright. You know, that brings us to the subject of suspects. I'd like to introduce you to the cast of characters in tonight's little mystery comedy. There are quite a few of them, after all. It wouldn't be much fun trying to guess who the killer is if there were only a couple suspects to choose from, right? Let's start with the ones you saw earlier. Tony, Allegra, come back in, guys. There we have it. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. This is the living room of a wealthy, ruthless, and powerful millionaire, Edward Worthington III. You'd be surprised how much time I put into coming up with these names. Edward Worthington fits a mature man with a strong personality, and the third suggests old money passed down through generations. Admit it, he wouldn't conjure up that same image I didn't him say. I don't know, Gareth Smerith or something. Anyway, you'll meet Edward later, and you'll soon find out that most of the characters in tonight's show have very strong feelings towards the man, including these two. This is Allegra, Edward's wife, his second wife, to be precise. Help me out.
When Edward grew tired of his first wife, Justine, he divorced her and married me. It's the old story of middle-aged man dumps first spouse for trophy wife. Well, I'm surprised you didn't name me Heisman.
Not a chance, my dear. While I do go for laughs, I draw the line at low comedy. Allegra. The name suits you perfectly. It's beautiful and mysterious, just like you.
Thank you. I shall do my best to live up to it.
And I'm Tony Blackwell, Allegra's brother. I'm a playboy. Can I help it if the ladies find me irresistible? Speaking of which, ooh, hey gorgeous. How about me and you meet up after the show? I know this place. We can go get a nice dinner for two, and then go back to my place, put on some romantic music, and
Okay, time out. Tony, you had better not make any plans for later. If I decide to make you the killer in tonight's show, you might be finding yourself in an intimate little jail cell.
Good point. How about a rain check?
I use playboys in my show fairly often. They invariably try to seduce one of the young women of the cast, say a sweet, innocent maid, for example. That adds suspense to the story. Will she succumb to his charms, or won't she? That's called a subplot. In any case, madam, if you do decide to make a date with Tony, I absolve myself of all responsibility for his actions during the show. After the show, I should say. See, I can control him on stage, but, well, out there in the real world, that's a different story. Anyway, you two can be seated while I continue the introductions. Justine, Deborah. Allegra mentioned Justine, Edward's first wife. This is her and their daughter, Deborah, a college student. Justine, what are your feelings towards your former husband?
Oh, I despise the
This is a G-rated show.
old goat.
Yes.
When I first married Edward, I was young and attractive. I gave Edward a lovely daughter, Deborah. But when I failed to provide him with a male heir, he could mold to become as power-hungry and heartless as he is. He made my life a living nightmare.
Poor Mom. Father didn't mistreat me, he ignored me. When I was 6 or 7 years old, I had long curls that fell to my waist. One day I took a pair of scissors and chopped off all my hair, down to a 1-inch bird cut. That was years before girls ever considered such a style.
You're beautiful girls.
I thought maybe if I looked like a boy, then Father would pay more attention to me. I don't think he even noticed.
I may have been able to forgive Edward for his treatment towards me, but his behavior towards our daughter, I won't forgive him for that until the day I die. Or he does.
We get the picture, ladies. Please be seated. Now, Edward has one other family member, his sister, Beatrice Worthington. Beatrice! Beatrice is several years older than Edward and helped raise him since their parents were jet-setters who were constantly zipping around the globe, leaving their offspring in the care of nursemaids and servants. Beatrice! Beatrice is somewhat, well, befuddled. And it's possible that Edward keeps her in the house more out of a sense of obligation than any real affection for his sibling.
Did somebody call me?
Yes, several times. Please, why don't you say hi to all the lovely people?
People? Oh, hi, it's so nice to see you. I don't go out much, so I rarely get to meet anyone except for Edward's associates who call occasionally, but, well, you know what? I can never seem to understand what they're talking about. Oh dear, I didn't realize so many guests were coming to Edward's birthday party. I don't think we have enough food.
Don't fret, Miss Worthington. They won't be joining us for dinner.
Good. Oh dear, it's not that you're not welcome. It's just...
Consider yourselves lucky. Stage food is seldom what it's supposed to be. You know, mashed bananas for whipped potatoes, that sort of thing. Starving actors usually love dinner scenes and eat anything that's not nailed to the table. But there's some food substitutions that even they shudder to think about. You did very well, Miss Worthington. Now, why don't you sit down with Tony and Allegra at the table?
All right.
Yes. Beatrice mentioned tonight's gathering is for a special occasion. Edward's birthday, his 50th, in fact. In case you're wondering why his ex-wife would be in attendance at such an event, it's because she was ordered to. And since Edward signs the alimony checks, well, Justine bit the bullet and showed up. You know, things between the birthday boy and his current wife have not been going well lately. And I think that Edward had Justine come along to remind Allegra how easily he could dispose of her if she crossed him one time too many. You know, I doubt if it's crossed Edward's mind that Allegra could dispose of him in a different way. And baby brother Tony would only be so willing to help. But I digress. Let's continue with the introductions. Roy, Connie, Roy is Edward's business manager. He's the man in charge of overseeing Edward's vast fortune, which includes money he inherited, as well as millions generated yearly by Worthington Enterprises, a conglomerate of media-related companies. It is a staggering responsibility, which requires a serious-minded individual. No wonder why Roy is always so uptight and has all the warmth and humor of a popsicle.
If Edward wants to laugh, he can hire a comedian. I've worked for Edward for nearly 20 years. My employer is brilliant at what he does, but relies totally on me to control his finances. Sometimes I wonder if he fully appreciates how well I do my job.
You know, I'm sure you're great at it.
Thank you.
They say behind every great man stands a great woman, and... No, Connie, that's just a figure of speech.
Oh, I thought, never mind.
The woman standing behind Roy, metaphorically speaking, is his wife, Connie. The two are about as mismatched as a pair of striped pants and a plaid shirt. See, Roy is as somber as Connie is giddy.
Oh, I'm not that bad. He's only saying that because I got lost in a super Walmart for an entire day. It could happen to anybody.
I will add that she spent part of that time looking for her car in the parking lot.
You've done that too, right?
You haven't. Now, Roy, if you would help Connie find her way to the sofa, we'll continue. Another guest I'd like to introduce you to is Peggy Sue Brumley, Edward's personal secretary. Personal secretary, Peggy Sue. Peggy Sue Brumley comes from Alabama, possibly with a banjo on her knee. I say that because she is your typical Southern belle. She goes by her first and middle names, of course. South of the Mason-Dixon line, you'll find lots of Peggy Sue's, Peggy Lee's, Peggy Jean's, Peggy Ann's, Peggy whatevers.
Well, if that helps you tell all us Peggy's a pot, Sugarman.
Well, shut my mouth, honey child. I want to say hi to all the other folks.
Hi, y'all.
I do confess I have a great affection for Southern women. They're charming and funny and very bright, though they're good at hiding that fact when they want to. They could easily get away with murder because you never expect such a sweet young thing like Peggy Sue to be capable of such a grisly crime.
Well, I certainly hope not. Murder indeed. I don't know why Walter would suggest such a thing. Besides, you'd have to dislike somebody heaps and heaps to want them dead, and I get along fine with everyone. Well, just about.
And what about Edward?
Edward? Edward can be really demanding at times and really rude when he's in a bad mood, and he gets in bad moods a lot. I'll admit he ruffles my feathers sometimes, but you can't murder someone for having an unpleasant disposition.
Well, anything's possible. Would you have a seat, Peggy Sue?
Sure, sweetie.
Another business associate I'd like to introduce you to is Lawrence. Lawrence! Lawrence Tate is a lawyer, though that doesn't necessarily make him the villain of our piece. There's no doubt the man knows his way around a legal paper. You know, if he'd been around in 1776, he could have drafted the Declaration of Independence in, say, 15 minutes flat.
Thank you. I accept the compliment because it happens to be true. You might say I'm especially adept at drafting the modern-day equivalent of the Declaration of Independence. To wit, divorce papers. If you don't believe me, just ask Justine Worthington. It's also possible Allegra Worthington might be able to attest to that fact in the near future. Also, both women know the hard way. I can draft a marriage contract that is ironclad and protects Edward from fortune hunters with complete success.
Thank you for the information, Lawrence.
Of course, you'll receive my bill in the mail.
I guess I only have myself to blame. I did create him. Anyway, one last set of introductions, and then we'll get this show on the road. The staff. Staff! Now, in real life, it would take a staff the size of a small platoon to run a mansion the size of Worthington Manor, but for our purposes, these four will represent them quite nicely. Sound off, troops.
I am Hollister, the butler. I picture Worthington Manor as a huge ocean liner of which I am the captain. The other servants can tell you that I run a tight ship.
That's the truth, and I like it that way. I'm Mrs. Vickers, the housekeeper. Mr. Worthington's home is a showplace, and I intend to keep it that way.
I'm Ina, the cook. Somebody didn't give me a last name, so I guess it's just Ina. I do my job, keep my ears open and mouth shut. You'd be surprised at the things I can tell you about the other people who live under this roof. But I won't.
I'm Edith, the maid. I'm kind of shy, and I wish I didn't have to stand up here and talk about myself. I heard what you said about Mr. Tony trying to seduce maids, and that makes me nervous, too.
Don't worry, my dear. We'll deal with Tony when the time comes. Now, if I may take center stage. There you have them, ladies and gentlemen. The cast of characters in tonight's little mystery comedy. Mystery, murdery comedy, whatever. You know. They include, as you recall, Allegra, Edward's wife, and her playboy brother, his ex-wife and their daughter, his sister, his business manager, and his wife, his personal secretary, his lawyer, and the household staff. They'll start the play while I summon Edward Worthington, the key figure of our story. Can we have a blackout and some music to provide for the transition, please?